Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Tammy from Acclaimed.
Salutations, I'm Kevin.
Yeah, we meet every Friday and we tackle some of the conundrums that homeowners experience with HVAC needs. And the conversation for today, you ready for the Dear Keven letter?
I have no idea what it is. What is it?
Okay, maintaining tankless water tanks.
Okay.
All right. Dear Keven, I purchased a tankless hot water tank when the government first started offering rebates about 1 year ago. What kind of maintenance is required to keep it running well, and how often is this required? Are there things that I can do myself to maintain the unit, or does it have to be maintained by an experienced service provider? Signed, Maintaining the Tankless.
Maintaining the tankless. Okay. So tankless water heaters certainly are quite tech heavy. And so it's really important that the right maintenance is done with them. And what needs to be done annually is essentially you have to descale it. Because what happens with our water is it's running through that tankless unit, it's heating the water up, but inside of that water is all the calcium and minerals. The same stuff that you see on your shower door and things like that is always building up on that tankless.
Can I ask you a question before we start into the maintenance
You
of that? What is the differences between a tankless water tank and a traditional water tank? When people are talking about that, because
sure. So we're gonna take a hiatus. We're gonna take a break from the letter.
Yeah, just because it'll make more sense if people think that.
A tankless water heater is one that typically will hang on the wall, and it doesn't store water. So there's no storage capacity to it. So when you need hot water, the water that's coming in from the city, where it's pressurized, that's going to come in. And I think, is it getting cloudy?
Yeah, the sun went by. The sun went by the clouds.
People had no idea this was outside, but now they know.
Okay.
So it basically has a really hot flame. And it basically kind of heats up an element inside of there. Okay. So as the water goes past, it heats the water, and that's what goes through your home. And because it heats it instantaneously, it can continue to do that, and you have hot water running forever. Whereas a regular water tank, you have a storage tank that's storing between 40 and 80 gallons of water. And that 80 gallons of water, 40 gallons of water, it's always kept hot by the natural gas coming on. So you're heating that water 24/7, and they're really efficient now, so they don't have to come on as much. It keeps the hot water warm, just like a thermos. But as soon as you use that hot water, you're filling up your water tank.
Okay.
And so that enters the bottom.
So we can see from contact commenting that it's great for families that are large, which they're great for if you don't want to run out of hot water, but bad if you want to run the hot water and use up your utilities that way.
They are. So I'm going to get back to the question.
Yes, thank you.
Because I haven't answered it.
Yeah, thank you.
So you basically have to descale that as the most important thing. And so there's little valves, and it's relatively straightforward to do in terms of hooking something up and pumping a solution basically like vinegar through there. In fact, I like to use vinegar when we're doing it just because it's easy, it's safe, and everybody's familiar with it, nobody's scared of it. Environmentally sound, and it's just easy. Okay. And so there has to be the right valves on the bottom of the tank, and so you basically hook up a hose attached to a pump, and that pump is set in a bucket of that solution, vinegar otherwise. You turn that on, and that pumps that vinegar solution, or anything that's descaling it, through that, and then out the other side of it, you have another hose dumping it back into the bucket.
Okay.
So it just is continuously kind of circulating it through there, and when it's doing that, it's cleaning all of that out.
So it's the descaling component that needs some maintenance.
It's the descaling component that needs maintenance and needs doing. That's something that we do. Butler Plumbing, one of our partners, they do any kind of troubleshooting, repair, or anything like that. But from a maintenance point of view, a lot of homeowners also do it. We can educate you on that. And then the other thing to do is to definitely get it cleaned and a combustion analysis and all this sort of thing done every 2 or 3 years. Or if you're ever noticing there's any issue at all, definitely call an experienced service person in to take care of that. So it is critical to do. The last piece of that puzzle, though, is that if you have a water softener, it's always recommended you have a water softener really for anything, right? Like in our house, we have one. I don't think we've had anything break like for an appliance since we had one, because there's no minerals going through it, and that makes a big difference. A water heater is the same way, and that thing is very sensitive, so you don't have the minerals in it. it's going to last longer. You have to do the maintenance less with that. So that's a great addition.
So I do see a question here that, and this was my question also, so I'm excited that they have come in with a question saying, I've heard the gas lines can be an issue in some homes. Is this true?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So what happens with the tankless water heaters that we have here, the water coming into our homes because of our climate is really, really cold. And it's a funny question that I get all the time, especially Europeans that have immigrated here. They'll say, Canadians are so far behind in the times. We've had tankless water for so long and you guys are so environmentally irresponsible. The reality is that, yeah, that's probably true to some extent. But here, because the water's so cold coming in, you need much higher temperatures from that natural gas kind of heating it. So we actually don't use the same type of technologies they use in Europe and most places of the world because our climate here is really, really cold compared to almost everywhere. And so the units that we would install are 200,000 BTU, which is just a figure to say how much natural gas you're getting. So the biggest furnace you can get in a house is 120,000 BTU. So
very different.
It's very, very different, very big. And the other big deal is that when your on-demand water tank comes on, it wants those 200,000 BTU like now. And so there's a big difference. So one of the things that we do when we go in, we have to make sure that the gas pipe sizing and pressure is capable of handling the demands of that on-demand system.
So could you have, so I have heard that not all homes could be retrofitted for like water on demand systems. Is that true, or is it, if money is no limit, any house can be retrofitted for a tankless?
Any house can be retrofitted for tankless.
Okay.
There's one big difference in terms of a professional recommending that in terms of being a good option. So houses that are probably 20 years, maybe 25 years or newer, they have a type of plumbing system in the house where every single faucet has a separate line going to it. So you've got all these lines that are separate. You've got what's called a header or distributor where all the big water comes into and all these little lines. Those work very well because you've got equal pressure everywhere in the house. Very different when you get into the older houses where you have one copper line that then splits into two. Both of those split into two. And the pressure is very different. And you know, you hear people, not as much anymore, but people our age and people who are in older houses, when you flush a toilet and somebody's in the shower doesn't have hot water because of the pressure that's kind of changed with that toilet flushing. Mm-hmm. So that creates a problem in terms of what you're going to get and how you're going to get that water from the tankless.
Okay, so to go back to the question, which I deviated, which I often do,
yeah.
Is that you have to do the water decalcification of the tank,
right.
And then a calibration every couple of years.
That's right.
And the calibration would be done by a professional, but the decalcification could be done by a homeowner depending on their
skill set, depending on the time they have available.
Right.
There we are.
And we're back.
Again.
So a little interruption there. Yes, a little interruption there, and that was my technology fail on that. So we got that recap done. But now, so since we're on the subject of tankless hot water tanks, is that the right way to say it? Tankless hot water tanks?
Yeah, tankless, on demand. Those are two names that are interchangeable.
Okay, so we had, there is a rebate that's available for changing out systems. The older, more efficient your hot water tank is currently in your home, upgrading to a higher efficient system, which is this, you get a larger amount of the rebate. I think the rebate's between $900 and $1,100 of a rebate.
Yeah, it varies. I'd say most of the people who've done it for right around $1,000.
Okay, so keeping that in mind, whenever you get a rebate for around $1,000, it must meet. Now, what is the cost of getting into a tankless system cost compared to just a traditional hot water tank?
Well, that's a great question, and it's very rare that somebody calls in. I tell them the price, and they say, "That's great. Come on over and give me an estimate."
Okay.
Because to get a quality unit that you're going to be happy with, that's a good quality unit, good warranty, installed by a good company, is going to cost you a minimum of $4,500.
And a traditional hot water tank is going to get you could probably get in for 40 gallon, so under 1,500.
Under 1,500, and you know what's really interesting is that since those tankless water heater rebates have come out, all of the wholesales and manufacturers, they're actually stocking 75-gallon water tanks. Because the number one reason people want a tankless isn't because of their efficiency, because they're never going to get their money back. It's because they never want to run out of hot water.
Convenience.
Convenience. And with a 75-gallon water tank installed, you can do that for half the cost, and you'll also never run out of hot water. So it's interesting how the marketplace and supply and demand
That's interesting.
has changed that.
Right.
Yeah.
So based on the need of addressing the need of not running out of water, and I saw that
Right.
note from Paul. You know, we always talk about the teenage boys in the shower forever. He says teenage girls would be the same, and I'm sure that's the case. All right. Well, thanks for answering that question, Kevin. That
You're
was
welcome.
great.